So a couple of days ago, the RTX 3060 Ti reviews came out. And yesterday the card was released. And it got me thinking, is this still a good card? Now, this is an RTX 2060 KO Ultra from EVGA. This is the card I use in my daily rig. This is the card I use for just about everything. And I gotta say, I'm not really ready to upgrade from an RTX 2060. Now, I haven't had any issues with this card outside of the rare driver issue that you always get every now and then. I did have an issue with RTX voice, but that was, again, a driver issue. So, you're probably wondering, what kind of performance do you get from this card? Well, actually pretty good performance, actually. In every game I've tried at 1080p, it's 1080p max settings. And that would be in Forza Horizon 3. Doom Eternal runs great on this thing. So on 60 FPS, 1080p. It doesn't have the VRAM for max. Only 6 gigabytes of VRAM on this card. And with 6 gigs of VRAM, Doom Eternal literally kicks you down to hurt me plenty graphics, if I remember correctly. I haven't looked it up in a long time, but still. And you're probably also wondering, can it run Crysis? 1080p max, it doesn't even flinch. It goes, you trying to render something right now? Because this card is so powerful. Now, I have experienced ray tracing with this card on a title that I'm currently working on review for called Ghost Runner. And this game, ray tracing is so good. And this is one title that I really liked because it had DLSS 2.0 and ray tracing. And I got almost a consistent 50 FPS. Now you're probably, why not 60? Well, again, VRAM on this thing. And this was before all the game optimizations that just recently came in and fixed a lot of things. I played this game on this card the first week it came out, on launch week, and oh man. I did have I will say in that game, I did have frame drops, and it did crash when ray tracing was turned on in DX11 or DX12. It didn't matter, as long as ray tracing was turned off, you didn't have to worry about the game crashing. And it would be a GPU error, or a GPU crash, for some reason. I don't know what caused it. It could have been something in the game not properly optimized. And that's something I will cover in my review of the game. But this card here, every game I've tried 1080p max, almost every single title. Forza Horizon 4, literally the game crashes on 1080p max settings because there's not enough VRAM. I turned a couple of things down, and butter smooth, 60 FPS, and this is just a couple of things just under max. And it's like just one notch down from max is where a couple of presets sit. And that's awesome. Now, since I don't have all the benchmarking tools for this card that Gamers Nexus, Line of Tech Tips, J2Says, Bitwit, all of the tech reviewers use, I can't show you proper frame rates and stuff, simply because my results would be skewed because I would be using old games and stuff. So if you're especially into old games, I highly recommend this card. I have about 200-300 gigs of old games that this card just barely does anything for, because it's 1080p max and it just burned right through them. Now you're probably wondering, why only 1080p? Why didn't you test 1440p and 2160p? Well, the reason is simply this: I only have a 1080p display in my room. I don't have a 4K display or a 1440p display, and I can't go any higher than 1080p on my display. So that's why I only did it in 1080p. That's what I have. And every game I've tried, it's either launch error due to new hardware, or it was some issue somewhere and I don't know what the issue was. But once I got past that issue, it ran perfectly fine. These were Dead Space and a bunch of other old games as well that just wouldn't run. They would crash, and run in compatibility mode, they run fine. So I don't know if there's something in the Windows 10 or not what, but now this card, when I bought it, was around $350. Correction, This is a $315 card when I bought it. That was April of 2020. Now I had heard rumors of 3000 series coming out, but because it was April and I needed a system to do my homework on, I went with this. And I will say, when it comes to doing rendering and stuff, this card is just a beast. Now again, I'm doing a lot of low quality renders that do better on CPU performance than on GPU performance. And this card it's a very, very powerful card. Now it does come with an 8-pin connector. You do need an 8-pin PCIe connector for this card, which of course the only one not using the 8-pin connector would be the NVIDIA 3000 FE cards. And I gotta say, just why NVIDIA? Why did you go with the 12-pin? But now this card has only 6 gigabytes of VRAM. So you're really limited, at least from my experience, by how much VRAM the game takes. Doom Eternal and Forza Horizon 4 need a little more VRAM than the card has. Now, I did manage to get Forza Horizon 4 to run at max settings all across the board at 1080p, and then they updated the game, and I think they changed a few of the VRAM rules, because after the update, my settings would not apply. Now, in Tomb Raider 2013 max settings, I get a consistent 60 FPS, but that's only because I have VSync enabled. Now, when I turn VSync off, I get 100 to 150 to 200 FPS, and that is with VSync off. Now, since I have an issue with screen tearing and stuff, I keep it on, because that's just me and I like my VSync. I don't like my screen tearing. And you're probably wondering, why don't you use G-Sync? Well, I have a FreeSync display, not an adaptive sync display or a G-Sync display. I have a FreeSync display. I did a review on it. I'll have a link to it down in the description below. This GPU, it's amazing. I love it. It does have a display port, a HDMI, and a DVI cable input, one of each. So you can drive 3 displays at once, and I do that because I do a lot of video editing. I have one screen for my main view, which is my 1080p FreeSync display, because it's my best looking display. Then I have a smaller one off to the side that I use for Discord and file management and all that kind of stuff. And then I have a third display that I don't really look at, but it does my temperature sensors, and my task manager. So what my temperature sensor software and my task manager is what I use this third display for. And since the other 2 displays aren't really doing much, it can drive the frames to my 1080p display. Now, as I said in my review of the 1080p display, there's only one HDMI port and one VGA port, if I remember correctly. It's been a while since I've seen it. That was a couple years ago. I have a display port to VGA cable to my 1080p display, and I gotta say, I don't notice a difference. It could be just that the display port has higher priority in games and stuff, because the frames seem incredibly smooth no matter what I'm doing. Like I said earlier in Ghost Runner, I got an almost consistent 50 FPS. 50, 55 was about where it sat. Every now and then it skipped to 60, and every time I loaded level, it would drop to 15 FPS, 15, 20 FPS. And that was just loading into the level and stuff as the loader screen was going, teleporting, or as you were teleporting to the new level, I guess you could call it. And every now and then, I don't know what would cause it in-game, but this will come up in my review of it, where the game would, for no reason at all, just sit at 15, 20 FPS, or sometimes go down to 30, which would be playable for me at 30 FPS. I will say that. 30 FPS is playable for me. But it would just drop to where it would be unplayable frame rates. Again, I do not know if that was engine optimization or not, but I talked to a friend of mine, he had the same issues on his Xbox, and I looked it up on the internet, and people on all platforms have been having the same issue. So please be wary of that. But yeah, this is a good GPU. It's powerful. It doesn't draw that much from the wall. I haven't measured it, and I don't remember what the TDP of this card is. It would be on the screen right now. But I can honestly say, if you're looking for a graphics card on the cheap and you want something new, but you don't want to wait and you can't wait for the 3000 series to be in stock, or you don't want to pay scalper prices, and you just want something that's low end or mid-range that'll just drive a bunch of your old games, this is the best card for you. I love this card. I absolutely love it. Would I upgrade to a 3000 series? Most definitely. If I could get my hands on one and if I could do a review on it, yes, I would. But this card specifically, if I were to keep, I would keep this card and put it into another system to be used then. Now the battery on my camera is dying, so I'll finish this off fast. This card has worked really, really well for me. I haven't had any issues with it, again, outside of driver issues. Some games and some titles are a little wonky with it. Doom Eternal for one, and Forza Horizon 4, but those are VRAM issues. If you're looking to play old games, especially really, really old games, I should probably not be swinging this card around, because it's the only GPU I have that's anywhere near the performance level I need to render frames and games and run tests and such. This card is absolutely the best one for you. One thing to note is if you look at the bottom here, right by the PCIe connector, right here on the heatsink, you can see really, really thick thermal pads on the memory of the card. And if you look on the back here, on the back plate here, which is it appears to be and feels like a metal backplate, which helps with heat dissipation and such. But you can also see in this little corner here the VRMs for it, or some of the VRMs for it. Not all the VRMs, because I'm pretty sure that if you were to look deep in here and look around, and you see all the cooling, the thick thermal compound or thermal pads or whatever they use, I think it's thermal epoxy. It's not thermal epoxy. Thermal. I'm trying to remember. But this just really, really thick thermal pads, I guess they are. I don't remember the actual name of it off the top of my head right now. But they're really, really thick, and so they really help with heat dissipation. The max I have seen this card get to, and I was running Furmark on it, was 75C. Now, that is now for this card that is hot and but I never see it get up to those numbers doing anything outside of like heavy GPU stress testing and stuff. So you should be fine there. It is a dual axial. It has two fans on the front with EVGA's weird fan design with putting their logo the E for the EVGA all over the blade of the fan. So if you're looking for like just something on the low end, well, actually now it's the low end because of the 3000 series, the 3060 Ti. And yes, I can still recommend this card to people because I absolutely love it. It has done very well for me. I have done renders and games and stuff and have had no issues. Again, goes running on 1080p max with RTX on and DLSS. That's about all I have for this video. If you like this video, please the like button down below. It tells YouTube that you like, that it tells the YouTube algorithm that I'm still relevant and I'm still uploading. Come back. I've got more videos coming through the month of December. I've got more reviews coming out. I've got a Switch dock review. I've got a review on the Xbox One S and the Ryzen 3600X coming in the following days. Hopefully I can get those up and recorded, edited, and uploaded in the proper time. So, thank you all so much for watching. If you like this video, please like the button down below. Thanks for watching.